Welcome back to Author Expert Podcast. My name is Heather Marie and I am a children's book author. Today we have a very special guest with us, Elizabeth Hunter, who is a new adult author. Can you tell us a little bit about what you have going on?
Yeah, so I have been writing for as long as I can remember, and I have published one book so far.
Can you show everybody, please? Show our viewers.
So this is Hearts of Clay of Tempest, and it is a Irish Little Mermaid retelling. And when I say Little Mermaid, think like the original Hans Christian Andersen story. It's a tragedy, but I think it's a beautiful story, and like it's one of my very favorite fairy tales. And years ago, I just was like wanting to write a fantasy retelling, and I got stuck in Irish mythology, and this is the result.
That's really, really cool. So I know a little bit about your background. Our viewers do not, but what came first for you? I know you have a background in journalism, but did journalism or storytelling through books? And how do the two worlds influence each other?
Yeah, so since I was a little girl, I was writing, and I also loved journalism. I loved getting the newspaper and reading it. And my family had dachshunds, so
Oh my goodness.
yeah, so I decided I would write like a family newspaper, and I called it The Wagging Dachshund.
Oh, stop. That's so cute.
And it was like a mix of like comics and stories, and I would like go and ask people their opinion, and I would be like, what do people think of like wearing socks and sandals? And I would like write about it.
Right.
And I distributed my little newspaper at church. And
Do you still have it?
no. But I would say that like the story of me finding people to write about has followed through my entire life. Like, I'm always curious about other people's thoughts and how they live, and I've always wanted to write about it. And starting from a young age, I started creating fictional worlds. And when I went to college, I actually started out as a middle school ed major. And because I love history, and I thought I would like be telling stories to kids. History. And I liked that, but I also realized that like journalism was the opportunity for me to like write people's stories and change their lives.
Yeah.
So I decided to focus on journalism, and I ended up getting into TV news. And people think about all the writing that happens at TV. Writing everything the anchor reads on air.
Right.
So I did that for 5 or 6 years, and I wrote my first book while I was
That is so cool. So how in the world did you have time to write a book and
also, that's just expected. I don't know. To this day, I think back, like,
did you sleep?
No. I did not. And I also worked night shift, so I was definitely not sleeping.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's crazy. So what made you choose the self-publishing route, and what has surprised you most about the process?
Yeah, so I've always been interested in the book publishing world. As soon as I wrote my first novel, which was really bad, not published, it was terrible. I'm really glad it was.
It's okay. We all have that. It's okay.
But I wrote that novel, and I was like, okay, I want to get this published. And so I went and started researching agents and querying, and really got into the world of book publishing. I started a book blog, and I started getting like copies of books sent to me before they were published. They're called ARCs. And
that's really cool.
Yeah. And so I got to follow a lot of agents and know how they get authors basically to their roster. And when I wrote Hearts of Clay and Tempest, I knew that the niche for the story that I'd written had kind of passed. Like, publishing goes through phases of like popularity.
Right.
And at the time when I wrote this in 2019, fantasy was kind of on the downswing. It's not today. It's not about it's very popular. But I didn't write a romantasy. Like, the fantasy that's popular today is different.
Right.
What I was reading in 2017 that influenced this book. So I would say my story is very of the era of 2017, 2018. And when I realized that it was no longer like the industry was no longer seeking out those stories, I still wanted to publish it because I loved the story that I'd written.
Right.
So I started looking into self-publishing, and I realized I did not want to be a publisher. And that is when I started looking into indie publishing, where I could find a small press and reach out to them, and they could do the work of publishing, and I could stick with Ray.
Right. Yeah, and I think some people don't really understand why maybe an individual chooses self-publishing over traditional. Yours is a great reason. For me, I chose that route because it's all about actual characters, like real life characters. And I know a lot of times when you do go through traditional publishing, a lot of the story starts changing.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to stay true to that story. So I completely understand why you went that route. And I mean, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, and going the indie publishing route, I had so much to say for like my cover design, all of that, and I would
You have
that control in the traditional.
yeah, you lose all control with traditional publishing. Not saying that it's bad, but you just have to find out like what works for you.
Yeah, you even lose like control of like naming your book.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. How has your background in journalism helped or challenged you in promoting and marketing your books?
Marketing is not my favorite thing.
It's not mine either.
It's okay. I will say being able to know how to pitch myself is so important. And as a journalist and TV recorder, I get to see a lot of the other side of receiving those pitches and understanding like what will work for a TV audience and news audience. And it's hard to break into as a indie author, like finding a way to market yourself in local news. It's not easy.
Yeah, none. It's not. And you gave me, I'm going to stop you right there. You gave me an opportunity when you were with the news. You actually came out and wrote an article on me and the puppies, which was really, really cool. So yeah, again, I thank you for the opportunity because it's still out there. I mean, it was published, so it's always going to be something that they can access to, which is really cool.
And it's like in that instance, it's so important to find like an angle so that it can connect to our audience. And your puppies are that people want to hear about dogs and they want to hear about cute dogs. And how that story connected was like the perfect combination in order for me to be able to pitch it to my like management. Yeah, this is a good story I can write about for the news. And yeah, so I think as a journalist, I think I might have too much inside knowledge to be almost afraid in when it comes to marketing. It makes me nervous. Yeah, in a way, because I know how much those pitches fall through the cracks when it comes to like landing.
Right.
But it does help when like knowing you're curating an audience for social media, which is where the majority of like marketing is these days, and like how to grab attention in an attention driven economy. And I will say like journalism helped me narrow down like what will grab someone's attention.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with Instagram, TikTok, I mean, Facebook is here and there, but I feel like Instagram and TikTok is really where like the influencers are and where you can really get yourself out there with your books and things like that. And also promoting it to maybe an influencer that has a lot of followers, but is in your niche.
Yeah.
Like that's also very important is I see sometimes that people will go to influencers just because they have so many followers, but they're not necessarily for that niche. So even though they have that many followers and let's say they decide to put a reel out for you, it doesn't get that many views or that much feedback because it's not really the audience, your audience. So you have to really be careful with what audience you find and make sure that it's your audience that you're looking for. Like obviously your audience is going to be different than mine. So
like knowing what messages will resonate. Yeah. Audience is absolutely, it's vital.
yeah.
Yeah. And you want to conserve your energy for those audiences. You don't just want to like
Put it out there and get 2 views. Yeah, I know. So what advice would you give aspiring self-published authors who don't have a traditional platform or media background?
Well, I would say like traditional platforms are everything these days. It's like the great thing about our social media and attention economy is anything can spark someone's attention, and it has democratized the process so that everyone has a platform. Like the publishers are dumping millions of dollars and they're dumping like ad resources, but they only can go so far. Like you have just as much ability to reach an audience on social media as a paid ad by a publisher.
Yeah.
Because I'll see a publisher will pay and get like 1 million views, but you go and see like 5 comments on that post.
Yeah.
Whereas, because it's not hitting their target audience. Whereas you get organic engagement, when you can, when your message resonates with your audience, maybe the views will be lower, but the engagement will be much higher.
Yeah. I agree with you. So in an age of misinformation and short attention spans, why do you think long-form storytelling still matters?
Because our audiences crave authenticity. Yep. Our audiences need our authentic voices. Like those short clips on social media that drive like controversy don't build community.
Yeah.
And so our long form stories are so important because that's where community and health is. And people need that sort of way to bond now more than ever. Like our society is so divided that when you can present your authentic self to an audience in stories, they need that. They crave that. And that's why our stories will always be AI or the next trend.
Yeah.
Because they're about real authentic connection.
And now, since AI has really come about lately, like there are great ways that you can use AI, but right now, the way people are using it is terrible.
I would say
It's
that.
absolutely awful. And it's getting so good, it's scary.
Well, and it presents itself as good, but then I'll see those like AI novels on TikTok and it will give you the first page of the novel and I'll read it and I immediately can clock it as AI because the characters are very one-dimensional. The problems.
Oh, the books, absolutely. I know. I'm more referring to like the pictures and the videos, like on my scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
Is crazy.
Yeah, there's tells that will give you as AI. But yeah, it's almost like it's very 2D. Yeah, what it feels like. Like it doesn't feel it's like, yep, that's awful.
Yeah. So looking back, what's one thing you wish you knew before publishing your first book?
Oh, I have a lot of space.
Me too. It's okay.
One thing is I love my indie publisher and I'm so excited for my next project because we're like all on the same page. But when we started out publishing my book, and I love my book, I had commissioned editorial work on the book and my indie publisher would have gone through and done like deep edits on the book, but I commissioned editorial edits. But it turned out what I commissioned was like layout edits and they didn't do like editorial edits.
Oh no.
So my book was never
So there was no grammar.
Yeah, they didn't fix it.
Oh wow.
And by the time we realized it, it was already too late. So like people, I've seen reviews on Amazon and I read the reviews, like they don't really get to me because I know some of it was mostly out of my control. But I'll see people write, it's a wonderful story, but it has a lot of grammar errors. And it makes me laugh because yes, we like both, like the indie publisher and I both learned from that mistake. So that is something that I hope never happens again. And the second thing that happened in the publishing process is I found out I have the same name as another author. So when the book was marketed on Amazon, we didn't pay for marketing, but Amazon sent emails to her readers saying Elizabeth Hunter has published a new book, and her readers thought it was her, but it was me.
Oh.
So her readers bought my book and they were complaining. They were like, this isn't the same author. And then we feel lied to. And it was not like her fault or my fault.
And those are your reviews on Amazon?
Yeah, those are reviews.
So are there, now, in that situation, is there anything you can do with Amazon? Because clearly that's not your fault.
I don't know if it was like a tech, like literally an AI with tech or like having classified books, but I ended up emailing the author and we both communicated to Amazon and got my book unlisted from her profile because it was listed under her books.
Wow.
But it took like a long while to get that cleared up. I would say around 6 months. And that was just something like you cannot know that was going to happen. Yeah. And like I can't change my name. Yeah. But as a new author, it was really hard.
Well, at least she was communicating with you and everything, because I mean that was really out of your control. There is nothing you could do.
Yeah, and it's something that going into the next book we'll know ahead of time before we ever list it on Amazon, and it should not happen again. Like it should be totally.
So I heard you mention you have something working on the project. What are you working on?
Yeah, so this project, I'm so excited. It's a completely different book in like completely different genre and even a little bit of a different style. It is Hamilton meets Star Wars. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So it's really cool. Yeah, so it's like a Hamilton retelling set in space. And I wrote it over about 2 years ago and I've been working in edits and it comes out next year. Yeah, so we have a tentative title, but we haven't like settled on the name of the book yet. So
that's really, really cool. So you have to follow her. So how do they find you?
Yeah, so I'm on all the platforms as that Liz Hunter.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where I am.
That is amazing. We'll definitely check her out because she does have an exciting new project she's working on and the book will be released next year. Thank you so much for coming out and talking to me today. And I'm looking forward to see what the future brings for you. So thank you for joining us today with Author Experts Podcast, and we'll see you next time.